Welcome to the next big thing, the 2469 Community Podcast. Joining us today, we have Jamil Shinawi, co-founder and CEO of AHOY. Ayman Alashkar, founder and CEO of Overwrite.ai. Khizer, tech director of AHOY. And Mohammed Sarfraz, co-founder and CTO of Datalyticx.
So guys, how was your week so far? I mean, we're almost at the end of the week, so how was it for you all?
You know what? I wasn't quite sure what day it was today when I woke up.
It's Thursday, by the way.
Yeah, well, I found that out later in the day.
Yeah, I'm just keeping tabs because the weeks just feel so like hours.
Which is a good thing, right? Means you're busy doing good things in whatever your field is, and the alternative is to be bored.
You know what I really wonder? The younger people. Like Zara, do you feel that weeks are like days or no? Honestly. You do as well? Okay, there's something in the water then. You do too?
I guess so.
I don't think she drinks enough
last
water
week's been
now.
Yeah,
crazy.
it's fast. I was in Oman actually. I was with one of our customers there. So I drove and came back.
Does time feel slower in Oman though?
It is slow, exactly.
Sir?
You're right. Absolutely right.
Oh, absolutely. Oman is a very relaxed place. Now, I'm curious. You said you're involved in 3 different businesses.
Yeah.
How do you split your time between them?
So Datalyticx and Labots is basically the underlying technology is the same, but these are 2 different outcomes.
Okay.
Right. And the sport analytics is a separate company that is basically, so I have, you can say 50% time in both companies. That's how I split my time.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when you go to Oman or any trip, do you try to optimize it for both companies, or is it this is an allocation of time towards
it
that?
is purely for Oman is purely for Datalyticx.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. And how are they over there with data?
Yeah. So basically, we have a voice analytics platform, and we are right now deploying our solution there. So we are managing almost 10,000 calls a day.
Okay.
That are going through our platform.
Yeah.
And then the analysis and everything comes out.
So
After that.
let me ask everybody a question here. We are all a bit technical with what really is AI rather than statistics. And you see the state of the hype. I think we're at the end of the hype right now of AI as well.
Oof, that's a call.
Yeah, right?
You think so?
Yeah, I really think so.
I don't know. I think the hype will only end when there's the next thing to move on to.
Yeah, I think it's already queuing up.
What is it?
In my opinion, orchestration or orchestrated tech. You can see it now rising up in the doc signs and the pitches and everything. So I think that's the next hype. But
So what is that for our viewers?
hold on. Let's hold on. Let's just stick to this. The AI hype.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just mention the funniest we've seen out there, like the worst and the funniest.
But do we really call what we have right now in the generative hype as AI? Because
Generative or not, I mean, it doesn't matter.
I mean, calling it generative AI actually separates us from the traditional AI that we know of anyways, right? We used to be programming predicates in Prolog, like in MATLAB, and then came along the learning part, the machine learning part.
Yeah.
And then we went to the deep learning part, and we just using signal processing to generate unique signals by the time. And it's just now Gaussian noise that's being converted from the noise to the actual generation of language, images, videos, and whatnot.
Okay, just to stay on point, the idea is, what did you see out there that was called AI and is not? Okay, so that's what I meant. I mean, for me, I've seen a few companies that do basic statistical modeling and just connect it to an API for events and event triggered basically, and they call that AI. Actually, one startup here in the region, the GCC, their name starts with a letter. No, I'm joking. No, they actually raised a few hundreds million. Genuinely, the stuff you can find in SPSS back in the 90s.
So statistics is actually a major part of AI, right? And traditionally speaking, the statistical models, linear regression, and logistic regression, they were were the foundation blocks of AI. And from there, we actually modified the algorithms, took them to a newer level and
But there was some advancement.
There was.
Computational power.
Yeah. But to do statistics today and call it AI,
Isn't it just an extension of? Isn't that what you're saying?
Personally speaking, what exactly is AI anyway? So people used to call the bots inside the games, like back in 2000s, AI, right? If a guard is moving from point A to B in a game and looking after a corridor, you call it AI, right? Then the definition got changed all along when we entered the machine learning era, which was popularized in like late 2000s because of computational advances. And then we have deep learning from 2013 onwards with the paper of AlexNet, right? And then everything from there forth was just bunched into one cumulative name called AI. Right? And everything from there, the paper from Ian Goodfellow in 2018 about generative AI, this was like the starting point for everything that we know as generative AI, right? I wouldn't call it AI per se, right? Because AI had a purpose to automate processes in robotics industry. This is how it came about, like Toyota using manual, you could say, part fitting mechanisms. Then there come industrial robots, right? Da Vinci was one of them for surgical, in surgical robots, right? Toyota has something called Nismo, right?
Yeah,
so all of these, they were doing something that was meant for a reason, for a specific reason. And then we entered the era of general purpose AI, like AI for everything, specifically, not just sticking to one or two algorithms, but everything in general. And now we have generative AI. So it's like throwing bits and pieces at it, throwing in data and whatever it makes. I mean, whether it makes sense or not. So I pose the question, what we are generating from these generative models, right? Is it really useful? The images that it generates, is it really creating value for people, or is it just out there to be called AI just because we have like a huge cluster of GPUs and we can flex it all day long?
Okay, I would like to answer the question. So first of all, yes, this AI term is not a new term. It's been since 1950s, right? So, but versions of this definition has been changed with the passage of time, with the passage of technological advancements and all that. So, answering to your question with respect to generative AI, first of all, it's all hype right now, as Jamil said. Like I think it's just a gimmick. It's just trying to generate different kind of like money, revenue, businesses just coming up. It's all it has been like to look at the social medias. When social media was started, it was all one. Facebook has started. There was other social media networks as well. It's all about how to make money, first of all. But of course, it's a new business model. Everybody who is building a small application, then saying it's AI-based application. So they are just, using the word AI just as because they might be using ChatGPT on the back end or generating some kind of data from there.
I would be happy if they use ChatGPT. I mean, my issue is, people who do basic stuff, just because it required some data processing, some non-direct data display, they call it just AI. So it's like, you see a founder pitching, and we're going to do this app that will be AI powered. And you ask why? Why is it AI powered? They say, because it will take this data, but it will give you something. It will tell you what you should do. That's not really AI. That's a...
Yeah, so there's a number of conversations happening in this one conversation. I think, Hood, to your point, we don't need to have the answers just yet. This is an iterative process. The evolution of this technology, as you said, Muhammad, began decades before the masses became aware of it. We're into our third AI revolution right now, aren't we? This is the third.
I guess.
I imagine today, like we're struggling, for example, understanding what the real application of a large language model like GPT is. You have industries like education grappling with how to fit it into what they're doing. You have industries like the Hollywood film scriptwriters who are striking against the role that it's. The threat to their roles. But I don't know. Who's to say that somebody somewhere isn't working on the development and integration of GPT into anthropomorphic robots? and selling them mass-produced into households as personal assistants.
I mean,
maybe that is one application. We don't have to have the answers today. What to your point about what's sorry for this, guys. You're going to edit this out. What's bullshit and what's not. That's definitely annoying. It's a bugbear for all of us here, right? I read a stat, I think it was in 2018, that startups who purport to use AI are 30% more likely to raise funding. Hence, every bloody startup out there is using AI. From your personal trainer. Now, where's the self-learning element in 90% of these guys? Hello, Sarah. Go. You tell me. I'd like to know as well, and that's what your question is.
I'm actually... it's just quite unfortunate that the general public and laymen, most people out there, average Joes, think that AI is LLM, which
another misconception.
That's it. That's AI basically. So that's the first thing. Now the second thing, I would say that if you look at most startups today, most founders. They, as you said, they have this peer pressure of feeling I have to include AI in it, or it's not like investable. That's just such a shame. It's just like I think this is the glass ceiling for innovation.
Yeah.
Just by using these labels as well, and calling it AI. I mean, everything is like my favorite music app. They have now an AI mix feature. But I know the guys. I trust actually that they actually are using actual AI. It seems like it, at least, because it's not by title or genre. It's actually going and analyzing the sound bites, and this is how it felt it worked. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but it's basically it's like Cheetos here. You put it into every sandwich, right?
But the term itself, the term AI.
You didn't know about that?
I would never. Although my sister-in-law did leave an impression on me once by folding pizza into 2 buttered slices of bread. And I thought, well, you're talking about Cheetos sandwiches. Beat this one, a buttered pizza sandwich.
A buttered?
Buttered pizza sandwich.
So a calzone, basically.
No, calzone is a folded pizza. Take that and put it between 2 slices of buttered bread and then eat it. That's not AI.
Where did the Cheetos go?
So that's a calzone sandwich.
A calzone sandwich with Cheetos? That's AI.
Okay, you're just making
I think
everybody
going back to your original question about what's funny, what's the funniest AI that I've seen. Now, look, this is not disputing whether it was AI created, but I shared it on our group some months ago when I came across, I was looking to order a pizza on Talabat, and I saw this AI-generated chicken. What was it?
Chicken
paneer pizza.
Yeah. No. Chicken shawarma pizza.
No, it's chicken paneer, the one I found.
Oh, chicken paneer? Okay.
Because they put chicken and paneer, chicken shawarma paneer together.
Yeah.
And it was this Russian.
Yeah, it was
pizza.
posted on the group, Yeah,
that was me that posted it. Because I was like, no. Now we've gone too far. I do not accept this.
I mean, if they...
overwhelming.
I mean... For all my Italian friends out there, I'm looking right into your eyes. I'm saying if there was pineapple in that pizza, it would have been fine. Now, what would it?
Oof, that, my friend, I think you've crossed the line. I'm not even Italian, and I'll take offense
We're
right there.
murdering you for this.
Hey, come on.
But you see, guys, that the word AI in itself has been used in various instances, right? And with varying use cases as well. So in gaming industry, it generally refers to the NPCs, the non-player controlled characters going about. And we have called them AI since the days of Day 1, when there was ghosts moving around in the scene, right? And now we have advanced AI competing against us in games. Recently, if you guys know about Defense of the Ancient, Dota, right? They beat the top team in the world strategically 5 versus 5, right? So the level of AI that was being used in the first instances and the level of AI that is present today. It's immensely different. They're like just 2 completely different technologies, right?
Yeah.
But somebody somewhere felt like we have to name them the same. Maybe because it was easier for the management guys to understand what they're talking about, right?
So
but the jargon, yeah. So as Jamil's point, right? People using statistics and they're saying they're using AI. But if you look at it like very closely, what is data science? Right? We are using statistical models. We are using ARIMA models for time you could say, time sample data, stock market data, everything that we're processing in time series. We're using ARIMA models for that, which is a statistical model, which is not even, you could say, machine learning. It's just regression that's being
It's all
tied
regression,
to.
yeah.
But at least,
Yeah.
you know, okay, let's draw the line somewhere, okay? Okay.
Like where?
It has to be more than undergrad stat 101, okay?
Okay.
At least, guys, come on.
Not high school?
Yeah, at least. No, I mean, most of the stuff. Okay, so if we really look at whatever is out there today, okay, some of it is real AI, some of it is it's just a sales buzz. You know, we are drawing a lot of attention to semantics recently and labels of things into so many social and business topics, and you know, it is becoming a bit. It's discrediting itself. Let's say, like metaverse. Okay, which is a bogus idea, as we all know. Like, I don't know how Mark Zuckerberg feels looking at the mirror right now, but I wouldn't be very happy looking at myself if I was him.
I would be more embarrassed if I was his investors.
Well, he's
They
looking
gave
at
him the
mirror.
money to do this, didn't they?
Well, he's looking in the mirror in the metaverse, so he can see himself.
But
Look, by the way, I would. I looked at I'm not a fan of the metaverse, but it was my daughter over there who introduced me to it. She would come to me while I'd be working. A younger version of that, the young lady over there would come to me and say, "Look, Dad, look what I did in Roblox," right? And I would kind of listen with one ear. And one day, I paid more attention, and what she had done was she'd built real estate in Roblox, in one of the subworlds in this metaverse. I can't remember which one. And from that real estate, people would come and visit. Their avatars would come and visit. And then she started retelling. This is when it gets funny, because it's got me thinking, Jesus, what's happening in the world out there? She would sell them things that she would make. And on one occasion, forgive me if I get the numbers wrong here, but she actually sold a digital pizza to somebody's avatar, some kids who
was it a shawarma paneer
She's
pizza?
there asking. No, I don't think it was.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was just inquiring.
It was a pizza, wasn't it? And so she sold this digital pizza for real Robux, which is the in-world currency.
Yeah.
Which can be then used to acquire other things. And
Okay, so my idea is that the concept, what I'm specifically talking about is not the idea of that, because it existed since Commodore 64 and Doom, okay?
Doom, yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, I do. I was going to mention it earlier when he was talking.
But the idea is metaverse, that all big consultants came and wrote white papers saying it's $1 trillion idea and $1 trillion opportunity and industry. And there were funds that came out and said we're only meta
We're
funds.
all in, yeah.
And then suddenly became AI funds, and then suddenly became generative AI funds. You can see the hype cycles, huh?
Absolutely.
Now, the hype cycles aren't something new, by the way. It's always been there. I mean, Gartner talks a lot about it. They actually got a science for it. And yeah, I mean, just speaking to a couple of analysts from Gartner, I think we can actually tell what are the next 3 cycles. Now, my question is, why don't venture capitalists go there and actually discover that? I mean, that's very basic.
Yeah, but so is the business of money. It's whatever's sexy. It's not what might be sexy in the future that's too far off. It's what's trending now. Money is short-term. Money is dumb. And it has short-term memory as well. Mm-hmm. So that's why you find it moving from fad to fad to fad and often cycling back. And if you remember that, like a lot of people forget that 5-6 years ago, we were in an AI hype cycle, but it was an earlier version of this. So, for example, people were jumping onto Facebook chatbots, and there was a movement towards funding labs that were building that. I know you probably appreciate how simplistic that was back then. Even ChatGPT today, everybody's fawning over it, or was, because I think it's falling out of flavor now. People are realizing that hallucination is a real time waster for them. But funnily enough, I can give you first-hand experience on that in a minute. But OpenAI's GPT today and ChatGPT today is a result of the investment that went into that funding hype cycle, right? Now, here in the region, the funding that's going into this hype cycle is going to spawn some real tangible results in 5-6 years, whenever the next cycle picks up.
Yeah,
And-
I wish you were right about this.
well, it can't not.
I'm
It
not
can't
saying,
not, and I'll tell you how.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I wish you're right.
I am right, not because I'm being intelligent, just by the numbers.
I mean,
Listen,
I don't
you
want
give
to,
any half-intelligent founder
I
out
don't want
there
to fall
enough
into a
resources.
rabbit hole of talk about investment right now. Okay,
But they're linked. They're linked because
there
investment.
There isn't follow-on money here for that.
They are linked in that what we're, like I was saying to Hood, I don't think we need to have the answers of what AI should be right now today. It is an iterative process, and we will get there to a point in time with funding, with investment, where we have a clearer answer.
But I appreciate fake it till you make it. But at
Not
least,
quite.
no, I really appreciate that. I
Yeah.
really do. But at least fail.
Fail?
Yeah, at least fail. Because when you fail, you can actually try and build again and do it until it... you can try until it works out. But the issue right now today is it's just outright lying, saying it's AI. Okay, I think what I'm trying to get to here is what is the bare minimum to call it AI, okay? So in my book, can you repurpose it?
Repurpose it?
From the use case you're using it for. For example, if you were developing a SaaS or something, or PaaS, or like something with a very definitive use case, can you repurpose it? Would be actually my question. That, to me, would be the bare minimum to call it AI. Otherwise, you have a use case statistical model that is connected as an API to your front end or what have you.
So you mean that repurpose in a way that AI can be utilized for other use cases, the same scenario? So in this case, I would say, first of all, when we say AI, it's like, it's not 100% we are at the AI. It's just, I would say 5 to 10% we have achieved. It's a progression, and it will progress with the passage of time. But I think large language models are the best so far, the way I see it, based on the study. And Meta has released their models, Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, they're the same thing. They have multiple use cases that you can work on. This, we can say, not fully AI, I would say, but 10% to 15%, I would say it's something that you can repurpose it. Like one good large language model can be repurposed into multiple use cases. That's how we are using it right now. And that's how I think it is going to be used. This is just a natural language processing. If you think about as a little bit more, it's a natural language processing, right? End of the day. And this natural language processing is not new thing again.
So exactly.
But the way GPT has, OpenAI has created a transformer. It was neural networks first, right? So neural networks transformer, GPT, what we call, is basically an enhanced version of the neural network, right? And now we have computing power. Now we have all these resources. We can actually train a very, very large data sets. And then we can generate the output out of it.
Yeah, I take a very different approach to this from Sarfraz. So I take a very fundamentalist approach when we are talking about AI. So in my opinion, anything that exhibits any kind of decision making can be called an AI. It can be a simple if-else check. I mean, not even statistical models, right? But over the course of time, we have started to associate AI with more complex learned behaviors, right? So cognition. I would draw the line very low. A basic if-else, if it's making the decision for me, I would call it an AI, essentially, to answer your question. Which bar will be very low.
Which would be a really big turn off for all those people investing in AI.
Yeah, that's a very low.
Yeah, but I know, but I like that actually. It's
but AI is a suitcase word into which it's very broad. A lot of sub-definition, a lot of subsets exist within that. So machine learning is one, and generative AI is another.
I don't think machine learning is a subset of AI. It's the other way around.
Okay, why? Why would it be the other way around?
I don't know. I just
I'll tell you what. If I was to break it down into simple things, AI should. I like your decision and your reference to the decisions made, but it's essentially either recognition or prediction.
Yeah.
And generative AI, popularized by GPT's chatbot, is nothing more than just predicting what the next word needs to be, and the word after that, and then with the power of the model, the size and power
That's
of the
what
models in
NLP
competition.
actually.
That's natural language understanding and natural language
Processing,
generation.
understanding, and generation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just unlimited resources given to OpenAI, near unlimited resources given to OpenAI because Sam Altman was well placed 7-8 years ago. Okay. And he went quiet and dark in a lab for years and years and took what those resources enabled him to do and came out with an enhanced version of predictive text.
What
right?
about
Grammarly got sideswiped, Where's Grammarly now today? Does anybody talk about Grammarly? It was the godfather of natural language generation up until November 2022.
Let's talk about the non-monetary cost of AI today and ChatGPT more specifically. So,
like energy consumption,
energy, water,
environmental.
Yeah, you guys know anything about that?
I don't know anything about.
That's another.
That's another
topic of
podcast.
discussion.
That's a whole
You
different
don't want? Okay, so
episode. No, let's
you want to
not
go
talk
home?
about that.
You want to go home?
No,
Summarize
I'll tell you what. I would
about.
like to talk about the inefficiency of capital as a result of the misunderstanding and noise surrounding AI. Because capital inefficiency here in our ecosystem, and this is linked to investment, is hurting our ability to deploy capital correctly into labs, into people who can take whatever stage we are at in AI's progression to the next stage. It's allocating capital into the hands of whoever's sexy.
Okay, so actually, I have a theory. And tell me what you think about this, guys. Okay, people always look for disruption, correct, when they want to invest.
True.
Yeah.
Now, if you're looking for disruption, you basically look for what scares people, even if that fear is irrational, unfounded. I think people's fear of AI is out of ignorance, mostly, because it's not really... And there are a lot of memes, Have you seen these memes about robots trying to open doors and say, this is AI, and they all fall down? So that's kind of funny, actually. But anyways... Look at this. Remember, I don't know if you remember, but there were a lot of clips recently on the web about all these different videos of teachers protesting the calculator, saying it will end our jobs. There were a lot of, I'm going to say French, but a lot of protests in some European country. Okay, France, okay. About
Nobody's saying
robotic...
national pastime.
About robotic arms, okay, saying like all these different inventions had fears, okay. People always thought it's gonna basically take jobs away and do all these things, but I think this fear actually fuels investment, because
fear fuels investment.
Because isn't that disruption now?
I think that we as a species have always pushed boundaries, whether it's out of fear or out of curiosity or both, or separately, either.
I mean, pushing boundaries is an overstatement in my opinion right now, because again, if
no, I want to say it.
If the fear,
we push boundaries here in this room right now. We are. No, but go on. Yes, if fear driving investment.
No, yeah, but if the fear is
it the fear of missing out?
No, I'm not FOMO.
Okay.
Well, they do invest because of FOMO mostly, but no, if the fear of public is an indicator or for a feeling of disruption, because every investor, if it's really evident, you're late. So in my opinion, that's my personal theory, just to summarize it. Ignorance fuels fear. Fear could be mistaken as a sign of disruption.
Okay, I see where you're going. Yeah. And then go on. What's the last stage to that? Or the last link in that?
Lots of unqualified investors put in money, and some qualified ones too.
So I wouldn't call it fear. I would think, I like what you touched on. Ignorance is essentially a lack of knowledge, and a lack of knowledge is unqualified investors.
Fear. Lack of knowledge is fear, and then
he added the fear element, but I don't see why we need to include the fear link in that. Why not just go straight from ignorance to bad investment?
Okay, because I'm not talking about the ignorance of the investors. Right now, I'm talking about disruption and fear, that they are so closely similar to each other. It's like two emotions that look quite similar, like confidence and ego.
So if I was to go back a few years to when, for example, Deliveroo disrupted the food delivery model.
Allegedly.
I don't know enough. Okay, clearly you do.
You love Australia. I know. There's a kangaroo.
No, it's not. It's
Deliveroo.
British.
Is that
Deliveroo
it?
is British.
I know, but because of the kangaroo effect in the name.
I wasn't that Australian back then.
No,
I was
And the
purely
Playboy
British.
I was
logo?
just checking.
Yeah, back then.
You're more of a Kiwi guy.
No, nowadays
sorry.
I'm more Antipodean than I used to be.
You're more of a koala guy.
They are lazy and arrogant animals.
I think disruptive.
Sorry, Australia. How did we get there?
You like kangaroo meat?
I've tried it. It's quite gamey. When Deliveroo disrupted that industry, and I have nothing to do with that industry. I mean, aside from ordering via Deliveroo, I don't know anything about the fragmentation or the aggregation of it. But what was the fear that was driving investment into Deliveroo then? Because obviously Deliveroo got heavily invested into it.
Very simple. They weren't the first mover.
Who was?
They were, I think, Zomato before them.
In the UK?
It wasn't
I don't
Deliveroo
know,
at all.
honestly.
Not
I'm
in the UK.
But I'm quite.
You're going back to like 2010
Yeah.
UK.
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
But I think they weren't the actual first move in the UK either. I think Uber Eats was.
No, Uber Eats not in the UK. US maybe, yeah, but not in the UK.
Okay, Uber.
But we are talking about disruptions, right?
Okay, so
when
when Uber
yeah.
disrupted that model,
Yeah.
what was the fear there? Genuine question, layman's question.
Very simple. There are a lot of people who bought bullions for taxi. They spent millions to buy them. There was a huge fear evident in strikes by those cabbies in New York.
Yeah.
That was seen enough to say that this is actually serious, whether it was or not at the time. But the guys capitalized on it properly, investors invested, and you got what we have today as Uber.
And that was definitely a new industry was created. It was a real disruption, right? And then you should watch Super Pumped, by the way. It's a really good show.
Yeah,
if you haven't watched
I agree.
No, I
It's all about Uber, by the way. How they started, what was the issue, how they were facing issues with the agencies, governments, and all that. These medallions that were $1 million medallion that was sold in to run a taxi in New York.
Yeah.
Right. So this how they disrupted that whole process. So that's really amazing show. You should watch that. And then Airbnb.
Yeah.
That's also another disruption. So I think whenever there is a disruptions,
There are fears.
there are fears, and there are new avenues of jobs of different kind of we are worried about like AI is going to take over lots of stuff. Like it's all hype.
Okay,
right?
let me ask everybody
But,
a question. Is it more like a comfort zone thing, or is it because, I mean, it's just chicken and egg question. It's essentially my question to all of you is the following: do people invest because of fear? Because that fear is out of something being new and outside our comfort zone, or is it because people are tipping money for anything that generates fear because it smells like innovation, without actually quantifying that properly? Let's go with you first.
Thank you, sir. I'm a firm believer that humans behave and act motivated at any point in time by either or all of the following: greed, fear, or love. And they could act in a symbiotic combination or in isolation, but it's only either those three things at play. So it could be fear that drives investment into something disruptive, in this case AI, or in past cases Uber. It could be greed, the pursuit of profit, something disruptive, therefore profitable, therefore invest. It could be love for whatever the benefits, be they social, be they environmental, whatever aspirations.
Love for money.
That's greed. That's greed.
Oh yeah, this is
Came
why
full
you said
circle.
that it could be interconnected.
Well, no, people are motivated. Usually, like you'll hear the proverb that people are motivated by either fear or greed. I have personally added love because we do love our children and we are motivated to do things for them that aren't necessarily greed based or fear based. So there's a third motivation.
But do you believe that the irrational thought could actually be also a motivator here?
Irrational thought.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But if rational thought is a motivator for investment into AI, then people would not be investing as they are. They would be stopping trying to understand what AI is better, but they're just throwing money at it, largely not understand. Here, I'll tell you what. My startup, and this isn't a plug, all right? And there's a point to this. I was speaking to NVIDIA yesterday because we are the only prop tech in the region to be in NVIDIA's Inception Accelerator program. And I was speaking to them yesterday. They have a lot of trouble finding startups in this region with real AI strategies, with real understanding of what their AI, what the artificial intelligence is, and what their roadmap towards, processing power, parallel computing requirements are, and so forth. So there is certainly investment happening, but there's not enough knowledge about it. So if rationality was driving investment, there'd be less investment than there is.
Okay.
So there's a lot of irrationality. Yes, I agree.
So what do you think?
I think it's to do with fear, but as well as hype, and the current cycle of ChatGPT funding. So initially it was fear at the part of Microsoft that the bird would run away to Google, right? So they invested in ChatGPT and kind of make it into a reality.
Is that known, or are you speculating?
It's known. Okay. Microsoft was heavily linked with ChatGPT and the founder. Yeah.
Yeah, but because they didn't want to lose the bird to.
Of course.
I mean, that was a good bluff for Google, wasn't it? I mean, the media played it, right?
Big time.
This was orchestrated? I don't know enough of the story.
I mean, why did Hinton leave right after? Like, they launched ChatGPT, and few months after, Hinton leaves because it kind of fell off, right? Because Hinton was not producing the results they expected. Like, they wanted either ChatGPT or something that can compete with it, right? And with ChatGPT going obviously Microsoft's way, there was a fall off between Hinton and Google, and Hinton obviously chose the way out.
But the media amplified that, don't you think so?
I agree. I
mean, it was almost like Kramer versus a boxing match, one of those, old boxing matches,
That style with the big.
It was almost, it's like a Rocky moment, I mean, the media really played that very well, but continue.
But of course.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And then there's the hype, right? So there was fear. And why is every single big AI company churning out a language model now? To keep up the pace, right? I mean, there's Bard, there's Llama, there's ChatGPT 4 right at the next day.
Yeah, the
right?
inflection.
Yeah. So there's hype. And people are investing out of fear or hype. I think these two are the most primary drivers in this current age of AI, if you specifically talk about AI, in my opinion.
Maybe fear and hype together fear plus hype equals irrationality.
I think hype is actually partially fear. I don't think fear and hype are separate. So
I have...
Yeah, go ahead, actually. I want to hear from you.
I have a little bit different thought process.
Okay.
Fear and hype, yes. And then disruption. Disruption comes... So, and there is a cultural scenario as well here. I would like to add a regional scenario here as well.
Oh, you want to go there?
Yeah, I want to go there.
If we don't have much time, that's a whole other episode.
No, it's a quick. It's a quick.
By the way, we're already here, so you don't have to go there. So we're already there.
So when I say disruption, it mostly look at all the ideas, disruptive ideas. When it comes to, as I said, give an example of Uber, OpenAI, Airbnb. From where they are initiated, mostly from North America, right? Here it's a fear and hype. In this region, unfortunately, fear, if we don't invest, we're going to be behind. Like, look at the example of Kareem. What Kareem did. Like, Kareem, same model, Uber model, came here, got lots of money, investments and all that. Same is going to happen to AI as well. If we follow the North American model, here it will become hype and fear. There is disruption. They disrupt the industry, and then rest of the world follows. right? And that my thought process is that only in this region, not like I'm not talking about just MENA, I'm talking about Asia and other regions as well. Is all about fear and hype, FOMO, this kind of stuff.
I
Because
mean-
tell me one good disruptive technology that came from this part of the world.
I mean, listen, I'll tell you something.
Maybe I'm going in a different direction, but
Yeah, that's I like it. And sorry, very briefly, I'd love to tackle that in another episode. Yeah.
So, okay, so just to comment on what you just said and to do my honest opinion about the same topic, the same point we're just discussing right now. There isn't much belief in the value of what is created here for most people. It's like, shiny imported stuff usually sound better. And there is a general sense of disbelief in local technologies. I mean, personally for us, for AHOY, we actually give our tech to overseas companies, so they are bought by big enterprise in this part of the world. Because when we go directly, it just doesn't get the attention.
Falls flat. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's one thing. Now another interesting idea is when it came to investment. If you look at most of our investors, luckily they weren't actually FOMO driven, but that is quite a very specific niche that we are in, just due to our network, people we know, people who invested in us in the past, being serial entrepreneurs. But let's talk about somebody who is new in this region, at least somebody who with a really good idea. Okay, somebody who really wants to build something really well, really good, really disruptive. Everybody has this thing where your valuation, they calculate their multiple, their multiple based on your exit, based on the Kareem valuation. It's like nobody actually can. There's a glass ceiling. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, there's that. There's what you were talking about, Mohammed, and sticking with the theme of fear and local culture, regional culture. There has thus far to date, and it is changing, but it's been frustratingly late in doing so. There's a fear of failure. Failure has been a taboo, whereas failure is embraced, where disruption and innovation is.
You know what's the funny thing?
Yeah.
We actually there is actually a lot of failure around, but
it's taboo. You don't talk about it. It's not
Exactly.
allowed to be discussed, brought into the open. You hide it if you failed. You're ashamed of it because nobody's going to reward you for it the way they do in Silicon Valley. There's
the
a
funny
fear of
thing
failure.
is the same number of companies would fail anyway, but yeah.
Maybe. There's no
It's-
data out there for this, is there?
Exactly. Actually, it's just the makeup effect. Actually, if you went online and wrote that somebody failed, you'd be committing a crime in many of the countries around this region. Defamation.
Yeah. So instead, what we get is everybody on LinkedIn rewriting their failure as now, because jumping from, I don't know, an NFT enthusiast to an AI
Now there's
thought leader to, I don't know what.
I know there is this new now craze about fail.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to mention it, but recently I stopped because it became the new thing, So, people going online and saying, I failed so many times, and failed. It became a thing. Did you notice?
Yeah, it started with Alibaba's founder, failing the MIT entry test, I think, or Stanford for 27 times, and everybody then followed his suit. I think it was Jack Ma.
Jack Ma, yeah.
Maybe. That's for another episode.
But,
failure and the cultural challenges that we as founders have faced here. And the clever people like you who found workaround solutions by distributing through overseas kind of international market vendors the same product that you've built here locally. That's, to me, I remember when you told me that a few months ago, and I was like, damn, this guy. That is a damn good workaround. Well done.
Thank you, Mark. Now, I want us to, the four of us right now, to come together and actually embrace a new type of fear.
That of?
Fear of running out of time, because I think we are.
Are we?
Are we?
We have to.
Yeah,
wrap it up
we're
with-
out of time.
That's,
We have time. Right?
yeah, see, I would do more of these. There's so much that we could talk about because,
Yeah.
you know, like we're barely scratching the surface.
We haven't even talked
This
about
one was
anything.
called, what was
I-
the theme
I
of this?
feel
This not
underwhelmed.
AI or
Yeah.
something?
Doesn't matter.
No, it does, because I don't think
Don't put it
you two
inside the
gentlemen
context. Don't put
have
it
given us
inside.
your example. What is your example of bullshit AI that you've seen out there? We've got 5
ChatGPT.
minutes. Let's have jokes.
Yeah.
I'll go straight up,
Yeah.
guns blazing. ChatGPT. I called it.
I like
I'm
him,
calling
man.
it.
Go on then, back it up.
You're
You got-
smart.
Okay.
What
All
else?
right. All right. So let me tell you this. Okay. So why is ChatGPT having trouble improving their performance? And you have seen people complaining about it actually regressing in accuracy. Why is that? Because with AI like these that are trained on huge number of data, they don't really have a way forward. They can't really go to the AI and like, hey, you made this mistake. Let's not do it again. They can't do it because it's already saturated. And the more examples that are coming in, they are becoming anti-patterns. Suppose you have a pattern. For example, this is my phone here, right? And I tell the AI, this is phone, this is a phone, this is a phone, right? And somebody somewhere comes along, a phone that looks like a Tesla in a car shape, right? And it says, no, that car is a phone. So the features, they correspond with the car. But we are labeling the sample as a phone, right? It's never going to learn that. It's never going to reach that level of accuracy because the features are not there. It's an anti-pattern to the data that it was ingested before, right? So there is no critical way forward for OpenAI to actually improve their models, right? And I have given like so many use cases to ChatGPT over the course of past few days. If you guys are aware, there's an NVIDIA's tech stack called DeepStream, right? And it's like kind of a very niche area of development. Like you won't find a lot of developers that work with that. And try asking questions about DeepStream, like very specific nuances. And it will just make up functions, like random functions that don't exist in the documentation or ever, right? And I kept repeating, like, okay, this doesn't exist. Maybe you wanted this. Maybe you wanted to say this, right? And still, I won't get the right answer. So for me, it was like funny. It's blatantly stupid, right? And just go home, ask ChatGPT to create 10 new words for you. And guess what? Every single word that it creates, copy it, put it into Google, and you will find it. It already exists. Somebody said this word somewhere on the internet at some place in time.
Of course, because this
Right?
ChatGPT is trained on what? All the data
So I'm
that is
backing
out
up.
there.
No. So I'm backing up my statement
Yeah.
that it's not AI. It's just a search engine, a glorified one, if you may, right? And it's bullshit AI. That's like my take on the matter.
Okay, so my take was pizza. You ramped up, you dialed up the ante there, all the way to ChatGPT. What about you two gentlemen?
So I would not say it's a bullshit, first of all. It's a good advancement, right? It's a step forward.
Yeah.
And when it comes to training of these models, it's not just a small data. They took a lot of internet data that is on public, Google search, books, newspapers, blogs, forums, whatever. And you accumulate all that data and feed it. And then you create a transformer out of it and start searching. And that's all. These are the glorified search engine. I agree with you 100%. But I don't say it's a bullshit because it's a step forward towards generative AI advancements and all that stuff. So
I mean, it
so
still
I'm
has to
not-
stitch a sentence
yeah.
together, even if
Have
with the
you- have
contents
you
of the
Have you
sentence.
tried Inflection AI?
I haven't tried inflection.
So we talk about two things, EQ and IQ, right? So EQ is basically emotional quotient, and IQ is what ChatGPT they say that they have, but EQ is more like
Humans.
human.
Emotional.
So Inflection AI has built the same based on, again, it's another large language model that's they built, and it has a little bit of EQ as well, which I liked it very much. It's not open yet. It's available on the internet, but you can search it, like developed by the same guy who did, I think, Google Bard. So these guys, like, I think he's from UK or...
Yeah, I
they,
think
they built the same first, and they said now we want to add emotions to the AI so that if you're talking to a chat bot, it should give you, let's say,
If Google did that, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, sentient AI, sentient AI."
No, but the thing about emotions is, so first of all, I'll refer back to the example of ChatGPT not creating unique words. You know why? Because it's not in the corpus. The tokenization or the bag of words that they have created is from the data set of the internet. So ChatGPT cannot create anything out of those tokens, right? The token set is limited because it was fed into it. It cannot create new tokens. And the emotional thing, right? The problem with emotions is that they are not quantifiable, right?
You have a whole section of behavioral science that will dispute
I know.
you right there.
No, but it's not quantifiable. You cannot say like, I'm 5 happy. Like, I'm happy, okay, but how do you define it in a mathematical way? What is the equation for happiness? I mean, nobody knows. Something that makes me happy might not make him happy, right? So what persona is the AI gonna take on?
So
So this is again it's a behavioral science and all
problem,
that stuff.
yeah.
It's all different topic, but definition of happy in every scenario is you are going more deep into what is
So-
happiness, what's being happy. So,
so
we are
if-
laughing right now. For AI, it's more than enough that
I'm
this is
happy
a
right
person
now.
is happy.
I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna be happier when I hear Jamil's answer to the
Yes,
bullshit.
there you
AI.
go.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
I'm afraid, with a lot of fear, that we're out of time.
Oh,
But-
we got 1
but-
minute for this. Come on.
No, come on.
Let's do it.
This is real fear right now. I mean, this guy has been training. He's got this really strong upper body. He's gonna hit me with a stick now.
Don't worry, I got you.
Yeah.
I'll stand
Okay,
in
hit him
between.
instead.
Yeah,
So
I'll
okay.
take it.
So, anyways, by the way, that's Ashak's there. Ashak's Badr. He's a Badr for bad, not Badr. Yeah.
And I
So-
thought Islamabad had bad
Yeah.
in it.
So basically, if I step away from LLMs, the sensation of the public, because it's a beaten matter in my opinion. Okay, although LLMs have a lot of great utility and can actually do amazing things. Okay, for a lot of people and a lot of use cases, and I think is a new form of user experience as well,
Does that?
which could be really amazing. But let's talk about drug discovery. Okay, now. If we speak about drug discovery, I actually have a personal one here. When I was 16, I wrote a script that actually can do compounds. I'm talking here polymers and hydrocarbons. You specify the flash point, the melting point, and the adhesion. It will create an adhesive based on from any possible permutation of hydrocarbons and polymers. It will actually give you that.
Sure.
So was that AI?
In my
No, that's
opinion, yes.
regression, isn't it?
I would call it an AI. I mean, it's doing intelligent stuff. It's creating new.
It's
just
permutation.
exactly.
I mean, hold on. I actually that thing created a new type of nail polish that never existed before.
It would be AI if it then took those melting points and adhesion temperatures or whatever you called it, because I'm not into that field, so I don't know the nomenclature, and learned by itself based on the permutations and results therein how to improve the formula, how to optimize it for better adhesion, for example, rather than adhering strictly to the parameters you gave it. That would be AI.
Based on
wouldn't
this
it?
comment to what I said, I'll tell you what my answer. Do you really want to know it?
Have we got the time?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do,
Okay. So okay. So please subscribe. Watching next time. Thank you guys.
He's media trained.
Yeah.
Have a good one.